Good evening, race fans. Welcome back to the Spec Miata series sponsored by Team Goon Squad. Today we're at the virtual Watkins Glen as already drivers making their way out for the warm-up lap. It's Thor Tulo starting on pole, Blaze Andrews starting second, Gareth Mcallister starts third, Casey Carrington starting fourth, Joseph Penn starts fifth, Jeremy Gray starting sixth, Chad Burke seventh, Paul Wright starting eighth, Robert Douglas starting ninth, Richard Losper starting 10th, Cedric Bertagliacelli and East will be starting 12th tonight. As we get ready for the first heat race, two 15-minute races tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how things go for these drivers, as it is a very short sprint series, 2 sprint races per night, guaranteed to be a good time. Pace car is in. And away we go. Thor Tulo on the front row. Blaze Andrews trying to follow. And it will be a mad frenzy down into turn 1. And here we go already. It looks like that was Penn and Andrews gets involved. Carrington gets a piece of it. Looks like Cruz, no, does not get through clean. He has heavy damage on his number 5. And this may allow Tulo to stretch out. Andrews returns back to pit road early on, as Penn makes his way around. Oh Lord, that was Cruz has another big bobble. He must be driving with damage. As we go up front, Gareth Mcallister is in second, Thor Tulo out front. They have had a bit of a blessing here, able to stretch their legs and quickly get through the rest of the field. Thor Tulo has been one of the dominant drivers so far this season, but Mcallister has really come into his own. The Australian driver is going to do his best to stay right in the toe of Tulo. As you can see in the background, that's Jeremy Gray in the number 67 machine making his way up through as well. About 3 seconds off the battle for the lead. Now that's going to be tough for Gray to make any momentum, as if Tulo and Mcallister keep working together here, they're going to be able to extend that gap over the bright blue number 67 machine of Gray. Looks like Tulo stretches his legs to about 8/10. He ran a half second faster than Mcallister that last time by, while Gray clicked off a 2:14 in third, falling back to about 3.5 seconds behind this battle for the lead. Let's see how potent the draft is going to be for Mcallister here as he tries to catch up to Tulo. Just at a second at the start of the straight here. Let's see if he can find some more time. Finds about a 10th and closing, going into the bus stop. It looks like Mcallister was able to find a 1/4 of a second there. Ooh, and another 1/4, getting within a half second of Tulo through the bus stop. Once again extends that gap to 9/10. Mcallister driving the wheels off of that machine, the number 25 Miata, to try and catch up to number 90, the bright green and purple of Tulo. As you can see, Tulo almost tricycling that Miata. almost getting some three-wheeled action there as the front end gets light coming up the hill in the sharp left-hander. Oh, and both drivers really going wide in what would normally be considered the NASCAR 6 and 7 sections of the raceway. Swinging their way down the backstretch, McAllister doing his absolute best to stay in the draft. As Tulo and McAllister both get into the 209s. Tulo with a 09.37, McAllister with a 09.4, so both these competitors running almost identical lap times. As the rest of the field clicking off 2:10s, it looks like their last time by. McAllister in the draft, Gray about 5.6 back from the battle for, I guess would be the lead now, behind McAllister, who's running second on track. We've seen McAllister and Tulo put on some fantastic shows, as Charlotte was a great example, with both drivers at the razor's edge for the duration of the event, drafting back and forth. Good to see them back out here today, putting on another fantastic show. McAllister within 3/10 now of Tulo, squarely in the draft. Is he going to try and make a move in these opening laps? It's only a 15-minute sprint race tonight. With about 9 minutes left to go. Looking forward to seeing what these two drivers put down for lap times this time by. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit faster than those 209s they did the lap prior, as they are very quickly getting on the pace. Both drivers are very slightly off their pace, but still clicking off 209s, very quick 209s. And we've got more problems. Jeremy Gray finds himself facing the wrong way. And Carrington and Joseph Penn will both move up a spot. Carrington now third, Joseph Penn in fourth. As Gray, Andrich, and Coos have all crashed out of the opening heat race tonight. We're going to go back up front, though, where the draft battle still continues between McAllister, who's looking to maybe taking a peek at the inside line, the bus stop. Tulo makes the pass easy and said, all right, it's time to follow the Australian for a couple of laps here at Watkins Glen to see what he can do with that number 25 machine. Both drivers working off each other, trying to figure out how they can squeeze out just a little bit more time. It'll be Tulo's turn to follow the Australian. Still almost identical gap that we saw when the roles were reversed, when McAllister ran second and Tulo ran first, staying within 3 to 4 tenths of each other. And now Tulo's going to respond, looking at the inside line of McAllister. McAllister breaks very deep into turn one. Tulo backs out of it. had a massive run up the hill. He's going to look to the inside line once more with Mcallister. We saw Mcallister pull this exact same move in the bus stop, and Tulo backed out of it. So now is it Mcallister's turn to yield? As they're still side by side, who's going to break first? It will be Mcallister as Tulo throws it in deep. And now Tulo will take over the race lead once more here at Watkins Glen. Mcallister will follow the number 90 machine around. Now let's see what Mcallister may do here. Only 5 minutes left to go. Waiting to see if Mcallister is going to make the same move that Tulo and Mcallister have both been doing back and forth here on the long stretch before the bus stop. And it looks like it's going to be the same once more. Mcallister has about a half car length on Tulo. And now it'll be Tulo's turn to yield as Mcallister slings it in deep, heading into the carousel. Here, because now Tulo's got to get set up. Who's going to be leading on the last lap? We've only seen passes in the long straights. We haven't seen too much aggressiveness out of either one of these drivers. Ooh, Tulo almost tagging the wall there. But I think unless Mcallister can find some way to gain a massive amount of time and break the draft of Tulo, it's going to be interesting down to the wire. Ooh, we haven't seen any big moves in the turn one yet. Tulo hints at it, backs out of it to try and get the biggest run he can up the hill. Look at that. I'm not sure what's going on here. Both drivers trying to make some alternative line choice and see how they're going to break the draft. Now, normally it looks like the driver is going to facilitate the pass here on the inside line, had more room, but Tulo's still going to be able to make it happen. And look how deep Mcallister goes into the bus stop. let's see if Mcallister, now running second, to be able to facilitate a pass. Less than a minute to go in this feature event, the opening sprint race of the night. Mcallister reeling in too low, using that draft. Looks to try and make something happen here. Taking the long way around, maybe not. I think just trying to find something that's going to work against Tulo here. But that's going to allow Tulo to stretch that gap, gaining a few more tenths. But you got to give Mcallister credit, trying whatever he can to make something happen. As we are at the 15-minute mark. And yes, the checkered flag will fly for Thor Tulo, Gareth Mcallister, and Casey Carrington, our top three here at the Spec Miata Series, the opening sprint race of the night. Great racing amongst Tulo and Mcallister. A lot of fun every week watching these guys hucking around. We're going to run a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for the second sprint race of the evening. Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the big one is out. And we are back with our second sprint race of the night. It's Thor Tulo, Mcallister, Carrington, Penn, Blaze Andrich, and it looks like Jimothy West has joined the fray as well for the second event of the night, the final sprint race. A 15-minute sprint once more. As we get ready for our iRacing pace car to make its way in. And maybe our driver is going to be able to avoid the lap one carnage that we saw in the first sprint race of the night. Away they go with Tulo and Mcallister on the front row, Joseph, Penn, and Carrington your second row, and then Andrich and West on the backside. As we look into some three wide action early on in turn one. Tulo leads the pack. A little bit of bumping and grinding there between Carrington and Mcallister, but no harm, no foul. As the draft battle quickly shaping up here. It's Tulo, Mcallister, Carrington, Andrich, Penn inside the top five. One driver hopping out of line, that's West in the 355, and everybody else staying single file. Look at that, Tulo hops out of formation. And that's going to allow Mcallister to make something happen. And there we go, Andrich and Carrington get into each other. And that's going to allow Mcallister to stretch his legs. As your race leader, 3.4 seconds ahead. Now Andrich runs second, Penn running third, West fourth, and Tulo runs fifth. The lap one carnage continues here at the Spec Miata Series. Andrich goes by. That's going to allow Joseph Penn to take from the second place spot. West trying to get around Andrich as well. And here comes Tulo as well. He's going to slide up alongside West, the 355 machine, not getting the run that he really wanted there. And Gareth Mcallister, your race leader, checking out. Tulo's worked his way back up into fourth after that early carnage, so he's going to put the pressure on the young driver, number 19 machine, because he has a long way to go if he's going to try and catch up to Mcallister, who's almost 5 seconds ahead of the rest of the field here. Getting close together, and West gets bumped around. He'll now show 6th on the circuit as Carrington and Penn make their way by. West showing up, missing practice, missing qualifying, as well as missing the opening heat race tonight. But coming out and trying to salvage some points. Tulo makes his way up into second as he goes side by side with Andrich once more. So Tulo worked his way back up into second. More great racing going on for the 4th place spot. Carrington works his way back up into 4th. West passes Penn as they go side by side. Looks like Penn will hold the position here, as Andrich looks for a way around Tulo. Tulo says, you're going to have to work a little bit harder than that. And that's going to allow Carrington, Penn, and West to reel into this pack as well. Mcallister has to be happy out front not to be involved in this mad dash for second. Oh, Tulo goes very wide up in second, able to hold on to the position against Andrich. But now here comes Carrington getting closer and closer. As Andrich still putting the pressure on hard against Tulo. But the problem they're going to face now is they're running the same pace as the race leader, who's 5 seconds ahead. Carrington actually has the fastest lap of the race with a 2:10.12 that last time by, really working that draft train. As it is 2nd through 6th, all running in a very tight-knit pack. Andrich signals he's going to look to the inside line, the bus stop, but I'm not sure how that's going to work as the rest of the field stays in the draft. Andrich looks like he has the position, and there goes Carrington. Oh, and he collects West in it as well. Carrington gets out relatively unscathed. West finds himself facing the wrong direction. And a little bit of damage on that 355 machine, so he will be having a tough go to get back to the pack. Almost impossible once you lose the draft package. As we watch Andrich and Tulo still battling for second. 10 minutes left in this second sprint race of the night. As the battle for second still going on strong, it's Andrich and Tulo putting on our front. Andrich now second, Tulo in third. As Andrich bus stop move really paid off well for him. Carrington, no, that's Joseph Penn in fourth, about 1.7 back from this battle per second, hoping that these two battle hard to allow the driver, the number 24 machine, back up there in podium contention. As this is almost identical to what we saw from Mcallister and Tulo in the opening sprint race of the night. Both drivers swapping positions and occasionally a little bit of paint going into the bus stop. Tulo has the run around the left side of the circuit, but I believe Andrich may be able to defend that line. No, they're going to go side by side through the bus stop here. Tulo may have the position. No, Andrich answers back quickly. This is allowing Mcallister, your race leader, to hold on to that 5.5 second advantage. And still, Andrich and Tulo separated by less than a quarter of a second. 8.5 minutes in, past the halfway mark of the second and final sprint race of the evening. And here we go with more side-by-side action. Andrich still in second, Tulo trying to respond as he runs third. Andrich and Tulo once again going side by side. Looks like Tulo has the momentum, but Andrich may be able to defend. Now we've seen side by side just a lap prior, and they're going to do it again for the fans here at Watkins Glen. As Andrich may be taking a little bit of advantage of the inside grass there, but holds on to the position. Tulo tries to get the momentum through the carousel, head into the boot here at Watkins Glen. And all the while, Mcallister just happy that this is not going on with him around. He extended his gap to 6.4 seconds. Mcallister has the second fastest lap of the race at 2:10.16, and he's doing that all without draft here today. Andrich and Tulo both trying to break the draft while another driver tries to keep it. Tulo looks to the inside line in turn one, has to back out of it as Andrich's car occupied that position. That will allow Andrich a better drive through here. Excuse me, that was not turn one. I was coming out right before 6 and 7 of NASCAR, but Andrich looks like he was able to gain a little bit more momentum there. Tulo had to back out to avoid any sort of contact. But I think Andrich's still going to stay and maybe make something happen. Oh, look at that! Andrich and Tulo both get into the wall. Now Tulo looks to go along the left side. Look at that, both drivers with identical broken left side mirrors after that little bit of rubbing with the wall here at Watkins Glen. Mcallister out front checking out as it looks, ooh, Andrich gets a little bit sideways. And Tulo holds on to it, and look at this, Carrington's gonna make his way around Penn. Penn finds himself in the grass as those two friends go side by side. Penn all in the grass, 3.5 tires off the tarmac, and Carrington will take over the 4th place spot, while Tulo now has the 2nd place spot over Mcallister. Less than 3 minutes remaining here for the final sprint race of the evening. And we are glued to the screen watching Tulo and Andrich put on an absolute show. As behind, you can see Carrington and Penn trying to crawl their way back up towards the battle, but as we said time and again, if you lose that draft, you are in big, big trouble. Ooh, Tulo, no, that's Andrich, goes extremely wide. Really using all the track limits and then some. A little surprised he didn't get a slowdown there. And Andrich will fall back to 3rd, still 3/10 off the back bumper of Andrich. Are we gonna see this side-by-side action once more going to the bus stop? Tulo trying to get set up for the inside line on the 2nd part, but not going to quite have the drive as Andrich goes pogoing through that bus stop, abusing the suspension on these Spec Miata machines. As we're going to check in on our race leader, Gareth Mcallister, running out front, not having any worries or issues. The absolute legend in the anime back number 25 machine, almost 8 seconds ahead of the rest of the field and still putting down blistering lap times. And he was able to click off a 2:10.16 with, I believe, no draft here today. So Mcallister really coming to grips with this Miata late in the season. We've seen some great battles between him, Andrich, Tulo, Soto, who's normally out here. We've seen a lot of great races between these drivers, so good to see them back out here. As we're gonna go once again back to the battle for 2nd. Thor Tulo with Ridge Motorsports running 3rd. You got Blaze Andrich running 2nd. The Privateer effort having a great race himself. And the checkered flag will fly for Gareth Mcallister. And now Blaze Andrich, Thor Tulo will cross the field, running 2nd and 3rd. Doing a little bit of a drift for the fans. Casey Carrington lawn darts it into the outside wall. Joseph Penn gets airborne as well. And here comes Jimothy West to end the race in signature style. Look at the air time jumping over Tulo. As these drivers celebrate some great racing and great camaraderie together. And that was Gareth Mcallister, Blaze Andrich, Thor Tulo rounding out the podium for the 2nd sprint race of the evening. On behalf of Team Goon Squad, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll be back next week for more Spec Miata action. Have a great night, everyone.